Late this week, finance company Latitude Financial admitted it's been the subject of a cyber attack with 103,000 identification documents and 225,000 customer records being stolen. The company, whose current chief executive is Ahmed Fahua, shortly due to stand down, said the attacker seems to have used the employee login credentials to steal personal information that was held by two other service providers. One issue the government is grappling with right now is how to legislate to prevent these attacks. Who are the real victims, the companies or their customers? And how do you penalise a company if indeed they are the victim of a data theft? Palo Alto Networks is one of the world's leading cybersecurity companies. And this week I spoke with its head of Asia Pacific Security, Duca.
The attackers have actually been here for a very long time. I think the media has definitely sort of gotten sort of a lot more attention around these types of breaches that are taking place. So this is something that's really been happening probably for a very long time. But we're seeing more and more, and it's becoming more apparent that organisations really do have to step up to think about how they actually protect the data of their customers and really think about how they actually sort of protect their data moving forward as well.
In this particular case, it seems like, again, as it was in the case of Optus, a relatively simple situation. Somebody gets an employee login through second or third party sites that enables them to get access to data. Surely these are the types of doors that should be locked all the time, that should never be opened. I mean, it seems, as I can see it at least anyway, a fairly basic situation.
I think it's going to be some time before we can really sort of work out and ascertain exactly what did happen and how the attackers were able to gain entry and then start to move around the organisation. I think that the takeaway from all of this is, especially what we've seen, is many organisations do rely on third-party suppliers. So that's supply chain, and also you're also a supplier to other organisations. So think about how you connect to other organisations. Question how others are connecting to you, how they protect your data. So it's not just simply how do you protect the data that you're holding onto yourself, but if there's a third party that's got your login information, the question should be asked, well, if they're a trusted supplier, how are they protecting the data? And going through it, and I think that should just be like, standard practice moving forward now for any organisation.
Okay, so now it is obligatory on companies to report data breaches when they occur, but that's also part of the change in the law that's coming, with the government right now consulting with industry. Part of the issue here is that the companies are saying, we're the victims, data's been stolen, but the end result is that it's the actual customer who's the real victim, whose identity is stolen.
That's correct. And I think what we need to think about is, as a nationwide, capability and ability to really start to reduce the need for everyone to start to copy every single bit of data and information that's there. We probably need to think about what are the laws that actually require us to do that first and foremost. But if we need to actually check someone's ID, do we actually need to continue to maintain a copy of it moving forward? I think that's a question that we need to start asking ourselves now. How do we start to centralise these identifications and the requirements around verification? I think is absolutely something that's paramount. We can't sit down in a digital age and not really have some sort of central identification, because identity is key when it's actually going to come to really protecting individuals moving forward.
Okay, can I ask one final aspect of this? Would it be handy if it was, from a federal government point of view, said that no Australian company will ever pay a ransom to these hackers again? In other words, take the sugar off the table. Is that another way of being able to tackle it? Because ultimately, they're after money.
I think it's a bit of a hard statement to make, because if an organisation that was subject to a ransomware attack, as an example, and they were critical infrastructure, so think of something that was actually life-threatening, such as a hospital, and all the systems were down and it actually was life-threatening. I'm not trying to say that we should always bow towards the attackers and say simply pay the ransom, but I think it's more a case of, if something was to really go wrong and there was no way out other than paying, I think that needs to be an option to consider, but not simply removing it off the table altogether. But I do know that it does force the hand if we don't actually if we take that off as well.
Yeah, exactly. Duca from Palo Alto Networks, many thanks for your time on the program today. Have a great insight as well.